We turn to Cliff May, founder and president of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, to, I guess, gain this long-term relationship. Cliff, we're more interested in the future relationship between the U.S. and North Korea. But first, what's your assessment of what triggered the collapse of the talks?
Oh, I think President Trump saw very clearly that Kim Jong-un wasn't going to make any serious concessions. And I think the president deserves a tremendous amount of credit for walking away from these negotiations. He recognized what too often professional diplomats do not, which is that no deal is preferable to a bad deal. And that's what this would have been at this time. Particularly give credit to President Trump because he's under a lot of pressure, not least because of the Cohen hearings in the House, to come back with a political win. But a political win at this point might have been a national security loss, and he didn't accept that. So I think he's done very well by walking away from this.
He is getting a lot of credit, not just from Republicans, but from Democrats who also worried that there would be a deal simply to hold up and say, hey, look, we got this trophy. So, yes, this is definitely a good development, considering the North Koreans cheat and repeat over and over again. But how do we get them to the point where they do what we need them to do, and that is denuclearize? Will they, or are we left simply with their promise that they won't test anymore?
Now what needs to happen is that the president, having tried carrots, needs to utilize sticks. Now is the time for what the president has talked about in the past but never entirely implemented, which is a maximum pressure campaign to really weaken the knees, perhaps implode the North Korean economy. It's going to require much more additional pressure as well on the Chinese, who cannot simply have North Korea as a little bulldog to nip at our heels and create a threat to our homeland, which North Korea does because of close to 25 years of not dealing with the problem that North Korea represents. I think we have to now we now have to apply the stick and see if that works. And if that doesn't work, well, that's when you have the Pentagon and others looking at plans B and plan C. But now the time is for maximum pressure.
It is important, though, to note that he had, well, let's call it what it was. He had mocked President Obama in the past for doing what President Obama, I guess, had coined, or people during that era called strategic patience. Well, now, what lesson do you think President Trump will have learned from this experience, and does it square with something that we found President Obama had said back in 2014? Let's listen, and then I'll have you comment.
We are not going to find a magic bullet that solves this problem overnight. What we're going to have to do is to continue with a consistent, steady approach. We have to present a strong, forceful alliance, and we have to prepare for any eventuality while still opening the prospect for a negotiated resolution to this long-standing conflict.
Well, he was not successful. Now what does President Trump do beyond give them more time to be successful?
Look, strategic patience was a euphemism for doing nothing. And for 8 years, nothing was done about the increasing threat from North Korea, the development of nuclear weapons, the development of increasingly sophisticated missiles at first that could hit our friends such as Japan, could hit Guam, could hit Hawaii, could hit the West Coast, and eventually will have the ability to reliably hit anywhere in the United States. And we do not have the missile defense system we should to prevent that, which is another part of this equation we should be thinking about. We could have a missile defense system if we want to. The technology is there to prevent missiles launched anywhere in the world from ever reaching their victims. That could be done. But the other thing is not simply to wait, but really to put serious pressure on the economy. And also, when North Korea does such things as cyber warfare against American-based firms, against American other ways, money laundering, there have to be consequences for these acts, and there have not been seriously. We have a cyber command.
Right.
It's not just defensive. It can be offensive. Kim has to feel the pressure now, and he has to feel it really hard over the next few months.
Well, he's a murderer. He starves his own people. It's been a horrific situation over there. I just don't trust these people. We will be watching. Cliff, thank you very much.